Leaf rust has been spotted in Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. Dr. Bob Hunger is the state wheat pathologist with Oklahoma State University.
I found it in a real susceptible variety in some guard rows. It's down low on the leaves, but there's a lot of pustules in some places, and it's pretty widespread within that susceptible variety.
Those pustules can cause a lot of damage if left unchecked. Leaf rust spores attach themselves to wheat plants and draw away water and nutrients. That weakens the host plant and can reduce yields by as much as 20%.
Well, leaf rust is, I would say, our most significant foliar disease of wheat. But these fall infections are not going to hurt the wheat crop near as much as infections would in the spring. These leaf rust infections, even though it's pretty heavy down in the lower canopy, as we get into the freezing temperatures, those leaves that are infected will tend to die off, and the pustules are there, but the rust spores will not necessarily die right away when the leaf does, but the temperatures will be too cold for those spores to spread up to the healthy emerging leaves. So the wheat plant will continue to grow some through the winter, but hopefully we'll have a cold enough winter that the leaf rust won't continuously or consistently still be infecting that new foliage.
Which is a good thing. Hunger says if the temperatures get low enough, the leaf rust spores will die off and you'll have a clean crop. If the temperatures don't get low enough, those spores will still be there come spring.
But it can be a problem because if the leaf rust does overwinter down low, and you do have viable spores down there, and then you get the right conditions for infection with warming temperatures, you can start the leaf rust right away in the field rather than relying on the spores blowing up from the south, from Texas and southern Oklahoma.
As for treatment options, Hunger says nature is your best bet right now, but when it warms up, get ready to spray.
For the fall, grazing and just let the nature take its course with the cold temperatures to freeze the spores out. But then when you get into the spring, then you have to be, if you're going to have leaf rust infection, leaf rust that gets bad and develop in the spring, or stripe rust, then you're going to have to go to fungicides.
Hunger says it's also a good idea to consider a wheat variety with leaf rust resistance.
Because that certainly is an option in addition to the fungicides, and grazing is also a control method, but the fungicides and then planting a variety with good genetic resistance is the best way to go.
If you have some early planted wheat and you want to check for leaf rust, Hunger says to look at the lower part of the plant for brownish colored dots.
The outer layer of the leaf is called the cuticle, and the pustule forms under that cuticle and kind of bubbles it up, and then it ruptures that pustule and the spores come out of it. So you can actually, if you have a lot of those pustules, you can take your finger and get some of the rusty colored spores on your finger and whatnot if you rub across them. But it's not particularly a bump that you can see very easily, but it's just a small, round, oval, rusty colored pustule.
Dr. Bob Hunger, OSU State Wheat Pathologist. I'm Don Atkinson reporting for the Oklahoma Wheat Commission and Oklahoma Genetics Incorporated.